What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now in this segment right here, we'll be taking a look at some of the things Mikal Bridges will bring to this Knicks team, and particularly to Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle, as the NBA landscape continues to progress past the Big Three era. You see, with the new CBA, as well as an influx of global talent like we've never seen before, gone are the days of having top-heavy rosters. We've even seen it affect the Denver Nuggets this past postseason, where they look pretty much gassed because throughout the years, their key role players coming off the bench have begun to disappear. And with the Knicks having a number of players who've taken a haircut on salary, they've actually well positioned themselves to be competitive for the next couple of years. And keep this in mind, trades going forward will be harder to make for teams to improve. It's easy to get hard capped, as the Knicks almost did even acquiring Mikal Bridges. So this CBA makes it really tough for teams like the Phoenix Suns, Milwaukee Bucks, and Denver Nuggets, who already have a lot of salary on their books, to improve from year to year. It looks like the NBA owners finally found a way to put a stranglehold on player movement. I'm not going to say no more. Let's just get to it.
See, as you can see, the more you fuck around, the more you're going to find out. And also, if you stay down here and you never fuck around, you'll never find out.
Now, one thing about Mikal Bridges' role on this Knicks team is going to be very similar to how he played in Phoenix, not necessarily being relied on to score every single night. Thus, he was able to use more of his energy on the defensive end, unlike what we've seen in Brooklyn, as they relied on him more for scoring and playmaking, which end up causing his defensive efficiency to go down. And he's not necessarily a guy who's going to average 25 plus points a game, which makes him more than a perfect fit on the Knicks. Now, one of the things he brings to the table is improving the Knicks transition offense, something that we were much lacking in, especially before the OG and Anunoby trade. Unlike RJ, OG was big enough to finish at the rack with a dunk, and last season after the trade, that was the beginning of the Knicks getting rid of that clunkiness that had us at times pulling the ball back, even though when we had numbers, and just finishing as one of the slowest paced teams in the league. But Mikal, with those long arms, just like OG, he can dunk the ball, and he shows some creativity taking it to the rack, even when he doesn't have numbers. Mikal's definitely going to help us out with the pace, as right here we have another guy who could finish alongside OG. As right here, he takes long strides and great finish. But going back to what I said earlier, Mikal is definitely versatile, as he does have his sweet spots from around the elbows. He could get to a sweet spot in a number of ways: in transition, attacking closeouts, after the dribble move, Mikal doing his thing from the elbows, sort of catch and shoot right here, off the pick and roll. It's almost DeRozan-like. Mikal represents the growing archetype that's coming into the league year by year in abundance. Guys who are over 6'6", who can dribble, shoot from a number of areas in the mid-range. They can also knock down threes and defend multiple positions. This is what I was referring to earlier when I said the league is in the middle of a transition from the Big Three era. It's going to be very difficult for teams that have high salary stars who have names but not necessarily the same on-court impact. For example, Paul George will have to deliver on a high level for the 76ers to justify that $50 million a year contract, when teams have a number of guys that are third, fourth scoring options, and they're displaying skill sets very similar to Mikal Bridges, i.e. the Boston Celtics, Minnesota Timberwolves, and to a degree you could say the Oklahoma City Thunder. So long gone are the days of the teams that are constructed like the Los Angeles Clippers, or a team that has a big three like the Phoenix Suns, the Brooklyn Nets when Kevin Durant was there. That formula, along with the influx of talent coming into the league, is just not going to work going forward. So the Knicks are one of the growing number of teams that are kind of staying in tune with this. Sort of the realization of chasing stars and sacrificing a lot of depth does not make sense in this upcoming era. So when it comes to the Knicks' cohesion, Mikal's off-ball movement is really going to work for this team. especially when Julius Randle gets blitzed in isolation. It wouldn't shock me if Randle's looking like CP3 out there with the assist numbers. Randle could be getting more assists like these. Even on a play like this, check out OG as he makes his cut down the middle. Bridges could finish a lot smoother than this. Here's another example of Randle getting the ball out to Grimes. Now Grimes settles right here. But notice the defender coming up, and Bridges loves to attack these closeouts. So Knicks don't necessarily have to settle for these threes anymore. As we can see here, Bridges is very comfortable attacking closeouts and getting easier shots from about anywhere in the mid-range. Again, when Tibbs has Randle and Josh Hart out there, you're going to have two cutters slashing. It's going to make things a lot easier for Randle, especially in those in-between lineups when Tibbs is kind of rotating the bench unit in and the starters out. Usually Randle's left in with that bench unit, and these lineups are definitely going to get interesting. So the Knicks will have a second option very similar to Jalen Brunson on this play, creating for himself, attacking the closeout. And very similar circumstances will play out for Jalen Brunson, as right here he threads the needle, and he will have a second option in Bridges, not being afraid of attacking the hoop against bigger defenders and finishing. So for the Knicks offense, Mikal does provide another option for someone who can create on their own, dribble in tight spaces, even at times run pick and roll, just like how Brunson does it, and is able to handle making that entry pass to the roller and finishing themselves if they have to. Yeah, so this Knicks offense could definitely get deeper into their bag, as Mikal, just like Josh Hart, is not afraid to finish over big men, and just having another player on the floor who can add to that pressure of teams defending the rim is just another tool for Tibbs to add to his arsenal, as teams still have to worry about the Knicks offensive rebounding with Mitchell Robinson, Josh Hart, OG. This gives us the second option in case those three-point shots are not falling. So on the flip side of the coin, we'll take a look at what Mikal Bridges brings to the Knicks defensively, as in his time in Phoenix, he was one of the tougher guards to match up against in that Western Conference, having nights going up against Luka, Stephen Curry, Jamal Murray, Anthony Edwards, Kawhi Leonard, De'Aaron Fox, and Donovan Mitchell when he was on the Utah Jazz. And that's a hell of a thing, going night after night up against those guys. It sort of reminds me of a prime Klay Thompson, who did it for a longer span of time and maintaining that 20 points per game. And sometimes things like that are taken for granted. They don't get talked about, and those things get completely overlooked. But Mikal has very active hands along with that long reach, as it not only provides him with steals, he also tends to get blocks on big men. And that's due to him always keeping those hands active, even on mismatches. And that same tenacity shows on pick and rolls when he's recovering. He keeps his hands active, use that long length, and get into passing lanes and gets deflections. Bridges has so much defensive versatility from his wingspan, the way he slides his feet. It shows why he can thrive defensively, even being put in different spots on the floor. And let's look at the recovery by Mikal right here on Klay. Can slide his feet, get back, and gets the block. As we can see here, those active hands, defending multiple positions, the bigger Pascal, and forces him into a turnover. Bridges showing his versatility in defending multiple positions. Look at him slide his feet and recover and keep up with Jose. And he's like, not today. Take that back uptown, Jose. Bridges with those active hands, defending multiple positions. DeRozan 6'6", decent size on him. He gets blocked. Bridges again showing that he can keep up with the smaller guards in the league, keeps up with Murray in the empty space, and forces him to a tough shot. Once again, you could put him anywhere. Bridges keeping up with one of the best wing players in the league in SGA and completely stuffs him. So there you have it. The Knicks have put themselves in a prime position to compete in today's NBA going forward. And with Jalen Brunson taking a pay cut, it only solidifies that this will be the team going forward, and they have belief in this team. and that also includes Julius Randle. As I stated before, he is and will always be part of the Knicks' plan unless some undeniable player comes into play, which in today's landscape will be very difficult to make trades because it's really based off of other teams' salary cap issues. One team could be good to make a trade, meanwhile, the other team, based on what apron they fall in, they might not be able to make that deal. So the Knicks giving up the draft assets in order to acquire one of the best 3-and-D players is completely understandable. With the NBA landscape we are headed into, we're going to see some of the most untradeable contracts on paper. And a lot of teams like the Milwaukee Bucks, Phoenix Suns, and to a degree the Denver Nuggets will begin to get stuck every single season. And a lot of this will come into the forefront starting in 2025, summer 26, summer 27. Not only these teams will be limited to the minimum player market, but they also will have their future first round draft picks be pushed all the way to the back of the first round. Not only adaptation to the league's landscape was required, but also taking a look at the competition in the Boston Celtics. That team is constructed very similar to the 2004 Detroit Pistons, the 1984 Boston Celtics, and the 2014 San Antonio Spurs. So Leon Rose and the New York Knicks in the summer 2024 have acknowledged the landscape in a way with this Mikal Bridges move. But until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.